They say the only true wisdom is knowing that you know nothing. We're going to build a custom ChatGPT today that knows a certain set of things, and it doesn't try to hallucinate knowledge outside of that. It knows what it doesn't know. So to build that, we're going to use Water, which is a platform that I built that lets you design and deploy custom ChatGPTs that can run automations, including searching a database, which is what I'm going to show you how to do today. A custom ChatGPT like this is a great fit for customer support bots, and it's also great for internal stuff, like if you want to have employees asking where certain logos are or what the company colors are or something like that. This is great for that too. Okay, let's get started. So if you don't have a Water account already, you can make one for free by going to drinkwater.ai. First, we're going to hit create new, which will create a new sprite. And sprite is just another word for a ChatGPT. It's a ChatGPT that can run automations. So right off the bat, we're going to import our knowledge base into this sprite. The way we're going to do that is by clicking Notes. Notes is a place where we can just paste in our knowledge base. The sprite will be able to search and reference it. One thing to keep in mind is that you want searchable chunks, like self-contained ideas, to be separated by a double new line. That just means you hit enter on your keyboard or return on your keyboard in between each of those chunks. So once you've done that, hit save in the upper right-hand corner. By the way, the example knowledge I'm using for this sprite is from the Water Help Center, which you should definitely go check out. Now that we've saved our notes, we can go back to new thread, which is where we can start giving examples of how we want our sprite to behave. And you always want to start out by making an input block. And this is where we'll put in an example of what a user might say to your sprite. So for this, I might say, what's an input block? That's something that maybe a user will say that makes sense for this knowledge base. And to be clear, you don't need to specify every question that somebody's going to ask. We're just going to give it a couple examples of how to search the knowledge base and get the right answer, or to search the knowledge base and realize that it doesn't know the answer. Once it knows how to do that, it'll be able to generalize and answer any kind of question about any kind of information in your knowledge base. So assuming a user said, what's an input block, we would want it to run an action. So we'll teach you how to do that by adding an action block. Adding an action block will pull up the services that you can use on Water right now. The service we want to use for this is Notes. This will let us search those notes that we wrote earlier. So let's teach the sprite to just take the question and search the database with that question. By the way, these two other parameters, results and min similarity, you shouldn't need to play around with them. They have good defaults, but you can if you're looking for more advanced searching in your database. The next thing we want to do is test the action. We always need to test every action we do. Water won't save the action without us testing it. So this is pretty good. You can see you got the right one on the first go, but of course it did. It has the same words, input block. In the real world, information is much harder to find. You're going to have a lot more results, and people are going to be asking with not at all the same words that you use to write the stuff. What's great about Water's search is that it uses semantic similarity, not keywords. It figures out if ChatGPT thinks that the concept is similar to another concept. And just to show you what I mean, if we try something else, some other way of phrasing this that doesn't use any of the same words, like what's the block where you put things into it, and then maybe we'll throw some random characters in to destroy it. So it's really not the same words at all. This is still closer in meaning to that first section than anything else. So it picks it out. So we've taught it now that when it receives an input, like what's an input block, it's going to go and use Notes to search the database for what's an input block. The next thing we want to teach it to do is to make an output. An output block is when the sprite is actually responding to the user. It's sending a message back. So we'll hit output to make that output block. And now we're going to teach it what it should say in this situation. So I'm just going to copy what it found from the database, and then I'm going to rephrase it so it's more like a natural language answer to the question, because that's how we want it to behave. And we should make sure to only reference information that it picked out there. We don't want to give it the impression that it's allowed to come up with new things. Okay, so let's show it one more time, just like that, how it's supposed to handle questions. Again, starting out by making an input block, and then we're going to ask something like, hello, what is the action block supposed to be? So just another question that makes sense for this knowledge base. Now, same as last time, we're going to make an action block, pick Notes, and then we're just going to copy and paste the question into the query box here. Hit test. Okay, there it is. Now we'll make an output block to show the sprite how it should respond to the user. And I'm going to copy and paste this answer about action blocks. And I don't even need to change this one that much. Okay, we're almost done. We actually can test what we have so far and see if it can handle a new question. To do that, I'm going to create a new input block and ask a new question. Let's do, what is a thought block? And then we can just hit test. And test is like asking the sprite, okay, here's an input block. What do you think you're supposed to do in this situation? And it looks like it got it perfect. It searched Notes for what is a thought block, and then its output was very similar to what it pulled up. And by the way, testing things like this is a great way to generate more examples to really show your sprite how to behave, especially if it gets it wrong, because then you can go in and edit what it did, and then the next time it's asked something similar, it'll do it the right way. Okay, so we're going to give it one more example, and in this example, we're going to show it what to do when it's asked something that's outside the knowledge that we gave it. So we still want it to try searching the database, so we'll hit action to add an action block. We'll pick Notes as the service again, And then for the query, we're going to put in the question, same as last time. But this time, we don't want it to repeat anything it found. We're actually going to make an output block and have it tell the user something like, I don't think I have enough information to answer your question. And that's it. We're done building the sprite. Now you can hit deploy and then chat with new sprite, and that'll take you to a sleek chat interface where you can try it out. This is also the page that you can share with your friends, clients, or on social media. If you set it to public on that last page, they'll be able to talk to your sprite too. So in part 2 of this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to deploy the sprite to your website. It's going to make a little bit of embed code that you can put in your website's header. And in part 3, I'll show you how to train this sprite to use the other features of Water, like running a zap or referencing real-time customer data in Airtable. Okay, cool. Thanks so much for sticking around, and I hope you subscribe and hit the bell so that you know when these next videos are coming out, and I'll see you next week.